And how are we supposed to look at this Agunah crisis? Like, it is a question of mine because, I wasn't absolutely fascinated by it. But then I got fascinated by what exactly is supposed to be our view on this situation.
Okay. So the truth is that, I have to just make a disclaimer. I'm not a rabbinic halachic authority, certainly not in the realm of, not in no realm, but also not in the realm of divorce and gittin. So what I'm saying here is more of a brother to brothers and a brother to sisters from just living in my community and talking to people and hearing people. I believe what's happened in our communities is really a shanda, it's a disgrace. Because every man who's refusing to give a get is getting some support. Even to the fact that he can walk into shul and he's not expelled from shul, he's getting a certain respect, right? There's family protecting him. There's friends protecting him. There may be rabbis who are protecting him. And the same is true the other way around. If there's a woman who's torturing her husband and not ready to accept a get. And the fact that we as a community have not treated this with the ultimate seriousness and have allowed so many women to suffer for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, remain in shackles, literally in shackles. She cannot move on to her life. She cannot move on with her life because of this despicable, unforgivable, unfathomable behavior of an abusive husband, or conversely, of an abusive wife, is a disgrace on us. The first, foremost function of Torah is to be able to create safety for the vulnerable, to be able to help the brokenhearted, to be able to protect the orphans, to protect the widows, to be able to protect those who are foreigners. How many times the Rambam says the Torah warns us 36 times to be sensitive and respectful to the ger, to the convert, who comes from a different culture and doesn't have, the protectia, the nepotism, the family and community power. So Agunas, who do they have? They have nobody.
Right.
And instead of standing up for them, very often there are people who support the other person, even with only a smile. Unfortunately, it's the first time in my life, I hope it's the last time in my life, that I had to throw somebody out of shul.
Really?
Yeah. In my shul, I have a woman who hasn't had a get in almost 20 years. She comes every Shabbos to us. She comes to many of my classes. And there was a man there who would walk 6 miles on Shabbos to come to my classes. So it was flattering for me. Guy walks 6 miles Shabbos morning to come to my class and Likkutei Torah from the Alter Rebbe. 6 miles? I don't walk 6 miles. I walk 6 minutes. And his marriage was in a crisis. His wife wanted a divorce. And I thought, with my gift of gab, I'll be able to be persuasive. And with my psychological techniques, I'll be able to achieve the impossible. And for a few years, I tried to no avail. Until I told him, you can't come to shul anymore. Until you give a get, I don't want you in any of my classes. I don't want you in the shul where I daven. I cannot daven to Hashem in good conscience, knowing that there's somebody here who's abusing his wife and his 8 children. None of them speak to him because of the get. Right. And I believe if every single Jew would do this, we would eliminate all support. And every woman who's an Agunah would have a support system. As I told them, I said, every Agunah needs a support system. She needs a few rabbis. She needs lawyers. She needs people with money, with business. Every woman needs a team.
Wow.
Needs a team around her. She deserves a team. Woman can't do this alone. Especially a woman, she has 6 kids. She has 4 kids trying to pay tuition because the guy doesn't even send a penny. It's not fair. So this woman needs a team around her, a top-level team. A coach, a lawyer, a businessman, a rabbi, family, a team. And the team strategizes. And the fact that they don't have this, and the fact that in one way or another we give even tiny support to everyone who refuses to give a get, is a disgrace to our community. The fact that the rabbinic leadership and all of the Jewish people are not single-mindedly focused with an unwavering tenaciousness and commitment to protect these women is an eternal disgrace on us as a community.
Wow, that's very well said. Okay,
I think it's the truth.
I feel very, very strongly the same way, and I've been
just the same that happened with child sexual abuse for decades.
Right.
People may have good intentions. This is not a personal judgment on people. A rabbi is busy. He's trying to run a shul. He wants to be nice. You think, I don't like throw. I'm not a guy who throws people out of shuls.
Right.
I never threw anyone out of shul.
I can't imagine you throwing someone
Not
out.
that type of guy, and I didn't like it. But I felt I'm now going to be the hypocrite just because he's walking 6 miles to my classes. I'm going to be the hypocrite, and he could sit here. And but he's a brilliant guy, Yale graduate, asked excellent questions. The crowd loved him in the class. I like interactive classes. I'm going to now be a hypocrite because it's working for my ego. I'm not going to do that. I said, leave shul.
Wow.
Leave. Don't come back here. Do not come back. Do not step foot into my shul.
And no one should let him into any shul.
Exactly. I don't know what shul. Why is anyone letting him into any shul?
Yeah.
Such a person should not be allowed to join a minyan. You don't talk to God while you're abusing your wife. There's Haftarah of Yom Kippur from the prophet Yeshaya, Isaiah. And he speaks over there. God says, you think your fasting is going to appease me? You think your fasting is what I need? He says, what do I need? I need you to remove the shackles of people whose lives have been broken, of the devastated, of the wretched, of the orphans, of the widows, of people suffering. Stop abusing people. Stop violating people. That's what I call a day of atonement. That's what we read in the Haftarah. Everybody could read it. It's from Yeshaya Hanavi, who was also a religious Jew.
Right.
When we lose sight of that, and we know how to make signs and kol kairos and protests about everything against halacha, besides child sexual abuse, it took decades for people to talk about. And again, they didn't know. I'm not judging anybody. Principals, rabbis, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. We'll send them to Israel. So he goes to Israel and he abuses another 40 kids. We'll send them away from Australia. So he goes to England and abuses another 100 kids. You know, take the Chaim Wilder case, right? 25 years. This is one of the most celebrated psychologists in Israel, one of the greatest authors of children's books in the Orthodox world.
Crazy.
It's a crazy story. You think people didn't know about it? 25 years ago, they didn't know. They knew about it.
Right.
But they thought, whatever. So what happened? Thank God, today, it's not fixed yet. But there's more consciousness. There's more awareness. A school realizes if there's a predator caught, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. If somebody has a gun and goes to a school every Friday and shoots a kid, nobody asks, so you're allowed to go to the police.
Right.
Suddenly here, when you're killing a kid for life, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you the results of child sexual abuse.
No.
You're murdering a person for years. He's a dead man or she's a dead woman. Hopefully they'll get the healing they need because their souls are never dead, as we said earlier. Right. And suddenly here, it's like, it took years for people to come around. Years and testimony and how much pain. And even today, there's people who are still a little queasy about it.
Yeah. I want to tell you, I saw videos of some of these protests were going on, and there was another side. Meaning they were protesting against a get refuser. And then there was another side. What is the side? What did she... And I don't know what it was. There was a whole side of people going, you shouldn't be here to... What are you talking about? Yeah.
And then they use halacha and Torah and mitzvahs. The Rambam says, the Rambam was also an Orthodox Jew. And the Rambam writes, the whole Torah was given to make peace and harmony. Kol Torah nitna lazos shalom ba'olam. The Rambam says there that Hashem wants his name to be erased to make peace between a husband and a wife. The whole function of Torah was to bring peace to people, harmony, a sense of joy, tranquility, safety, security, oneness, attachment, simcha. So in the name of halacha, in the name of Torah, we can abuse. It's like idolatry. It's like a pagan religion. You slaughter kids on the altar to appease some God who doesn't exist. That's what I often feel. We lose touch with the essence. If justice, compassion, kindness, generosity, safety of the vulnerable and of the children, of the women, of the men is not our highest priority, which God are we serving? Take your God and you could burn him because he never existed. Wow. Take your God on paper, tear it up and throw it in the garbage. It's not a God any normal person wants to worship. It's a corrupt God. It's called a pagan God. Right. The fact that you call him a Jewish God just means that you have adopted your pagan God and call him a Jewish God. And I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to be part of this.
Right.
It's below our dignity. It's a betrayal of our history. If I told somebody 4,000 years Jews have sacrificed everything to hold on to their Yiddishkeit. For what? So that we could protect sexual predators and abusers? Tell me for what? Tell me for what? For what? What did we hold on to exactly? What's the sacred treasure that we fought the whole world? We were slaughtered in the millions to hold on to. For what? So I could protect abusers in my community? That's the crescendo of Jewish history? Tell me. That a guy who's torturing his wife for 15 years can get away with it? Because he goes to the mikveh every day and puts on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin and only eats badatz hechsher? Because he's a frum guy? That's the crescendo of our religion?
I think it's
This
sick.
are my ancestors, we all had to sacrifice so much? Tell me. It's the basics. The basics is the fight for justice, for truth, for the safety of people, for people not to be tortured. Thinking about chas v'shalom, think about your own daughter.
Right.
Right? Think about your own daughter. People think about your own daughter, your sister, your daughter, yourself. Being in chains for 10, 15 years and at the mercy of a person using halacha in a sinister way. Is there a greater desecration of God and halacha than this? And the fact that all leaders are not silent, are not outspoken about this in the most forceful of ways, I think is a disgrace.
Well,